Hey everyone, welcome to 360 Degrees Data Podcast. In this podcast, I'm going to teach you how to start basic AI programming using GCP and Python. I assume you know the basics of programming. If so, this podcast will help you to get up to speed, to set up your first infrastructure using GCP so you can play with basic AI programming using Python. I'm Davidson Samuel, and I have over 20 years of experience in the field of software engineering, working for major banks. I'm a technology enthusiast, and I've worked across various different technologies hands-on over the past 20 years. Data, machine learning, and analytics are my passion, and I've done various work in this field for several years. During COVID, I built a public domain website on COVID data and built various analytics and machine learning models and put it for public use. This channel is all about AI, data, machine learning, and analytics. I hope this is going to be useful for you. Please like and subscribe and share it to your friends and colleagues. Let's crack on. First step is to understand the basics of GCP or Google Cloud Platform. What you see here is the landing page in Google Cloud Platform. And if you don't have Google Cloud Platform, you can easily register using your Gmail account. Google Cloud, they give you 90 days of free credits, which will help you to build some servers and do some programming for those 90 days. And then later on, if you want to continue your subscription, you can always pay and continue your subscription if you wish, or you can cancel the subscription. If you go to the dashboard, Google Cloud Platform has got various different options. We'll look at some of these tools later in the upcoming podcast. So first step is to build a virtual machine. So I'm going to go into Compute Engine, and there is a section called VM Instance, which stands for Virtual Machine Instances. If this is your first time, you need to create your instance. So click on Create Instance, and then by default, it gives you some of the options of configuration which you can build. The default configuration comes with low cost day-to-day computing with 2 CPU and 4 GB memory. If your purpose is just basic machine learning programming for learning purpose, you can stick with the basic default configuration, or if you want to do some high performance memory intensive computing machine learning with a large data set, I suggest to go for higher version, high memory configuration like 4 CPU, 32 GB memory, or 8 CPU, 64 GB memory, depending on your purpose. But please note, every configuration comes with its own cost, monthly cost. Even though first 90 days are free, use it with caution. Switch off the VM when you're not using it, and this is good for the environment as well. So please use it with caution. In my case, I've already created a VM instance, which you can see here. And the next step is to start the VM instance, where you click on the Start button, and then you start the VM. Once you start the VM, you'll get a message, VM instance started after 30-40 seconds. And once it's started, then you can SSH to that VM using this option and open in browser window option. In my case, I've already done that. I'm going to enable it here so you'll see my VM instance. You can see the SSH terminal. I'm in the VM instance now. The first step is to install some basic softwares and packages. If you're familiar with Linux, apt-get is one of the command we normally use in Linux. So the first step is to do apt-get update. So this will update the package index files on the system and brings you the most recent package. Next step is to install some basic softwares like Python, Git, and some of the utilities. So I'm doing an apt-get install, and I'm installing Git, Supervisor, Python pip, and Python 3 utilities. Don't worry about these commands. I'll put this in the description link so you can refer to this later. Once you have installed this basic packages, the next step is to create a virtual environment. You create a virtual environment using this command Python 3 venv command, which stands for virtual environment, and then you give your virtual environment name. In this case, I've given my virtual environment as kow_env. So this command will help you to create a virtual environment. Note that I'm using Python 3 here. This is because we installed Python. So it's a step-by-step process. The first step, we installed Python. Now using Python, we are creating a virtual environment. So once you have created the virtual environment, the next step is to go back to the root directory and then activate your virtual environment. You activate the virtual environment using the source and then followed by your virtual environment name /bin/activate command. Once I do the activation, then you will see that my command prompt changes to kow_env. This means I am in my virtual environment. And the next step is to understand the path of your Python executable in your virtual environment. So if you do which command followed by Python, it will tell you the path where the virtual environment is installed in your virtual environment. From this step onwards, if you need to install anything in your virtual environment, you have to use the pip install command. So this is the command you'll use. So you'll do the sudo followed by the path where Python is installed, and then pip is the Python package installer, and then followed by the install command, and any other libraries or frameworks which you're going to install or use in your code, you can use this pip install followed by the software package or library name. So in the first example, we are going to use Streamlit as one of the well-known open source UI library. It's very popular among machine learning programmers because it will help you to create a user interface very quickly using Python. So if this is your first time, you can do a pip install Streamlit. I've already installed it. That's why you will see this message saying requirement already satisfied. But in your case, it will install all the required libraries so that you'll have Streamlit in your system. Once you have installed the basic libraries, you can create a directory. In this case, I've created a directory called data tools. We're going to do a simple 2-line Python code to put a user interface. So first step is import Streamlit. So I'm importing the Streamlit library as st, and then I'm doing st.textInput, ask me anything. As the name implies, I'm just putting a simple text input with the name ask me anything. Let's run this and see what results we're going to get. Any Streamlit code needs to be run using Streamlit space run followed by the file name, which is what I'm doing here. And then it will create an internal and an external URL. So I'm going to use the external URL, copy and put it in a browser window, which you won't be able to see it. I'm going to enable it. So I'm going to put the external URL in a browser, and there you go. We can see the Streamlit text box which we created earlier with a message ask me anything. That's a simple example. And then I've created another example, a slightly complex example called demo3.py. In this example, I'm using the well-known iris dataset. Iris dataset is a popular, common dataset with data about a flower petal length, petal width, which is very commonly used by machine learning beginners to do some basic programming. In this case, I'm loading the dataset using these commands. Before that, I'm importing all the important libraries which you'll keep on using it in future if you're doing more machine learning programming, like Pandas, Matplotlib, Scikit-learn, and all these important modules. You will understand why you're using it in the later podcasts. So I'm splitting out the data set. These are some basic Python commands. And then in this line, I'm splitting the data set into train and test data set. Again, it's a well-known process we do in the machine learning programming. And then in this step, I'm loading all the well-known models like logistic regression model, k-neighbor classifiers, some well-known models in a loop, and then I'm evaluating each model in turn using the test and training data set. I'm printing the mean and standard deviation. This is the simplest form of that machine learning code. There are various things you can do. You can do prediction, you can do forecasting, and various different process beyond that. But let's run this and see what result we are going to get. So this is a simple Python code. You run it using Python command, Python followed by the file name. So I'm doing Python demo3.py. I've got the results, what I was looking for, even though it has printed out some warnings because I'm using some deprecated parameters, which you can ignore. It's just a warning. So you can see the code as printed the mean and standard deviation, which we wanted to see. This is another simple example for machine learning. I hope this is useful for you to get up to speed in your venture for machine learning and AI programming. If you have any queries, please comment and I'll try my best to answer it. I'll see you in my next podcast. Thanks for watching.